What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine coming to you live at youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Make sure to check us out anywhere you get your podcast. And as always, find all of my work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Thank you all for pushing through yesterday. With me, it was, one for the ages. In the city of Pittsburgh, the power, I've never seen a storm like we saw it as quickly as we saw it and as damaging as it was in such a short amount of time. In about a half-hour span, the city of Pittsburgh went through what I can only describe as Wizard of Oz weather. That's exactly what this was. It was incredibly hectic, wild for 35, 40 minutes, went away, power went out, and it didn't come back on for 27 hours, something like that. There are still many parts of Pittsburgh who still do not have power. The city is working through this. We're getting there. Let me say this. I'll give a shout out to all the men and women who are working and busting their butts to get this city back to where it belongs. Shout out to you guys. Can't tell you how appreciated you are. And to everybody who still doesn't have power, who is at this point tossing out their entire fridge and saying, well, good thing I spent $8 on eggs. I'm here with you. And we all are. And if there's anything that I can do to help, I would love to help. So let me know. All right. Let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football. And I will answer this one first. Marlon, are you guys safe, Noah? I know Pitt isn't built like Oklahoma when it comes to the storms. It is not. But we are, at this point, good. The city of Pittsburgh is on the up, I would say. And we're getting back to where we should be. But I mean, look at wild times in 24-ish hours. But you get a lot of work done. Tell you that. I went right outside. I started working all day yesterday, and I just did yard work all day long. It was a good time. All right, let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football. And the biggest question, the looming question, everybody waited months to find out what the answer was going to be. They are still somewhat waiting for the real answer. But the Steelers know who their rookie quarterback of 2025 will be, and it is Will Howard. But everybody wants to know in the 6th round, things are different. If Shedeur Sanders went in the 1st, if Jackson Dart went in the 1st, if the Steelers went Tyler Shuck or Jalen Milroe in the 2nd, if Will Howard was a 3rd-round pick, there's expectations that if Aaron doesn't show up, if Aaron Rodgers isn't here, the Pittsburgh Steelers know their starting quarterback. And they'll give the rookie a shot because the rookie deserves a shot. As a 6th-round pick, is that different? Do the Pittsburgh Steelers view Will Howard as a starter? Maybe not right now, but ever throughout his tenure in the NFL and with the Pittsburgh Steelers? What is it going to take to get this kid on the field? And is he worth putting out on the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers? These are all questions that need to be answered, that will eventually be answered, but I think everybody wants answers now, or at least some sort of answer now. Is Will Howard the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers? And the only way to find that out is to put him on the field, right? Well, we'll start with this. Ben Roethlisberger had a pretty good compliment for the new rookie quarterback, saying on his podcast, Footballin' with Ben, quote, "You draft him in the 6th round, it's like, okay, whatever. If he works out, great. If he doesn't, he's a 6th rounder." There's, been some pretty good ones that have come in the late rounds. Tom Brady. And no, I'm not trying to say Will Howard is Tom Brady, but I like this pick. There are a lot of people who say, who cares when he was drafted? Who cares that he's a dude that maybe had a limited crazy success in college football? Because that's who Will Howard is. Will Howard is a guy who, before the college football playoffs, was not the greatest college football quarterback. He was a dude who just was pretty average, at best, average. But when things got intense and the Ohio State Buckeyes needed to go on a run and they needed to win the national championship, Will Howard played his best football. And I'll say this. I don't think that a 6th-round pick makes you, in the Pittsburgh Steelers' eyes, a starting quarterback in 2025. And there are things about Will Howard that I am not super high on. Many things. I think he's an average quarterback, and my expectation for him is to be Mason Rudolph and be a backup quarterback for the next decade. That's my expectations for him. But I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Will Howard, what I love about him in those same sentences is that I make the argument constantly that it does not matter how good of a college quarterback you are, that the greatest college quarterbacks outside of Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson go on to do very little in the NFL. There's a significant difference between NFL quarterbacks and college football quarterbacks and what makes you great. Will Howard is pretty average in college, but he's got the skill set that you want to work with in the NFL. He's got the tangibles that you'd like to work with in the NFL. And because of that, you have to look at it and say, well, a lot of average college quarterbacks become great NFL quarterbacks. And Will Howard was as average as it comes in college football. And that to me is a positive. That to me is a guy who contains the skill set to say, I did not shine in college until right at the end, but I have some mobility. I have the pocket presence. I have the arm strength. I could learn the mental side of this. I mean, a year ago, we're talking about Justin Fields. What does Justin Fields need to improve on? Anticipation. The mental side of the game. Can Justin Fields become a passer up here because he's able to get things done on the field athletically and with his arm? Will Howard can do the same thing. Can he get it done up here? I think that's massive. Massive. And it gives him much higher upside than many, myself included, will give him credit for. Will he become a starting quarterback for the Steelers? That is the question. We'll start with this. In 2025, from everything I have been told, it will be Aaron Rodgers. And I know people are tired about hearing about Aaron Rodgers. I'm tired about talking about Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to sit here and go on a rant about why Aaron Rodgers will be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'll explain it swiftly. Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old. He's a 4-time Super Bowl MVP. He is, at this point in his career, the definition of a bridge quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for a bridge quarterback. And because of the bridge quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, there is no other starting quarterback on the roster in 2025, no matter who you are or what your upside is. Aaron Rodgers is coming to Pittsburgh to be the starter. End of story. That is what it will be. That is what the Pittsburgh Steelers want it to be. Does not matter if it should be. Does not matter if someone wants it to be different. It is about, are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to change that? The answer is no. When you look at it from a glance, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy. That is everything I've been told. And like I keep saying, I expect it to happen very soon. Now, Will Howard will get some competition because I am not sold by anything the Pittsburgh Steelers have ever done with Mason Rudolph that he is going to be handed the number 2 job. That is just not how the Pittsburgh Steelers operate. If there is a quarterback named Mason Rudolph, the Pittsburgh Steelers are open to screwing him over. That's what they do. They are excellent at giving Mason Rudolph an opportunity and then taking it away. That is what they excel at. One of Mike Tomlin's best qualities, maybe not best, most consistent qualities throughout his coaching tenure is making sure Mason Rudolph is as miserable as humanly possible with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you're telling me that he's going to be the number 2 guaranteed? No shot. Will Howard's going to get a chance to compete against Mason Rudolph for QB2. That's significant. QB2 is a good job in the NFL. QB2 gets your reps. QB2 with a 41-year-old quarterback as your starter means he's not practicing every day of the week and you're running the first team offense. That's big. Once a week, at least, Aaron Rodgers will not be on that practice field, and Will Howard could be if he beats Mason Rudolph. Now, this season's awesome, but what about next season? because that's when it starts. If you're going to start Will Howard, it's going to go next season. That's when it begins. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go and draft a quarterback next year. That's going to happen. And they're going to do it in the first round. That's almost definitely going to happen. It does not matter who they go and get. They want competition. That's what their plan was the entire time. You looked at it and said, you got to get a quarterback this year so that next year when you get your guy, you have somebody to compete with. You have a guy that if your guy stinks for some reason or needs a year or whatever, you have another young option who can lead you where you need to go. Will Howard. That's the guy. Next year, Will Howard's going to get a shot to compete. I don't know if that shot's going to be good. Will Howard could walk onto the practice field in Latrobe this year and stink, and it could all go down the tube, and it's done. But if Will Howard looks good this year, if Will Howard continues to impress and improve throughout the offseason, and then next year, the Pittsburgh Steelers go and draft a quarterback, they will 100% make Will Howard a competition piece against that quarterback. I have a feeling he's not going to win, but it's competition, and it's a place where Will Howard gets a shot. So that's how it'll go down. If Will Howard's going to start for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it will be in 2026. That's when it'll happen. Aaron Rodgers is coming this year. I continue to tell you, Aaron Rodgers is coming this year, and he's coming soon. The Steelers are going to step on the field at OTAs and minicamp, and if I had to bet, Aaron Rodgers is going to be with them. That would be my guess. That does not leave room for another quarterback. And it means that things got to move quick because Aaron Rodgers has got to get situated and comfortable within this unit, within this scheme, within everything that's going on. But Tom Arth is here to develop young guys. That's what his job is. And he's going to get an opportunity to do so in Will Howard. Arthur Smith's going to get a year under his belt to work with Will Howard and see what he could do. And I'm telling you, for a 6th-round pick, this is not Josh Dobbs. This is not Chris Oladokun. This is not an exciting piece that we're making up to be something bigger than it is, but really it's just nonsense that we're spewing from the mouth. That's not the case. It is, by all means, a kid that fell to the 6th in a draft class where everybody was playing chicken with Shedeur Sanders, and it meant that all these quarterbacks fell. The Steelers didn't want Dylan Gabriel. They didn't want Jalen Milroe. They wanted Kyle McCord. I'll name you the 3. If the Steelers were going to draft a quarterback in 2025, you want to know what the 3 quarterbacks would have been? It would have been Will Howard, Kyle McCord, potentially Quinn Ewers. Potentially. That would have been the 3 to watch. It wasn't Shedeur. It wasn't any of this. So as these guys fell, Shedeur chicken continued. The Steelers got lucky. Now this is a guy who probably has a 3rd-round grade who's going to get a shot at some point. If Will Howard's going to start, it's going to be in 2026. This year, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. But look for competition with Mason Rudolph and look for Will Howard to get a real shot to compete in that competition for Will Howard or for QB2. And if you're going off ESPN's predictions, because ESPN loves to make wild predictions, they predicted Aaron Rodgers is going to have 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I'll tell you right now, if Aaron Rodgers throws 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, the Steelers are not going to finish the season with Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback. That's not going to happen because they're not going to look at him and say, this dude's going to win a Super Bowl. That's not going to happen. If that's the case, this is the year where the Steelers try desperately to get their offense to work. This is what this is, because it needs to work to some degree so that next year there's a starting ground for the young quarterback. Door could open. It could. Do I expect it to? Hell no. But it could open. It definitely could. All right. I missed yesterday, and the way I'm going to make up for that is I'm going to make sure that I start answering questions early. We've got about 45 minutes instead of me blabbing from the mouth a week after the NFL draft and going over a bunch of nothing, because there is absolutely nothing happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers. For those of you who do not know, rookie minicamp will be next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll have plenty of content then. And then OTAs is 2 weeks after that, and then we'll be good. But for right now, there ain't much going on. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of Shedeur sliding, blah, 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 blah. We talked about all that. The Steelers didn't want Shedeur. They didn't. It's crazy. It's crazy it sounds. They didn't. At the end of it, when the dust settled, it just was revealed the Steelers were putting on a smoke show or a smoke screen. It was a damn good one. And just like the rest of the NFL, wasn't what they were looking for. Let's start answering questions. If you got them, toss them in the chat. I'm going to give a big shout out to all of our members. Big shout out to all of our super chatters. Can't tell you guys how much I appreciate you as we move through this. I also want to give a shout out to this. We have officially moved from a 4.4 to a 4.5 star on Apple. Thank you guys. Cannot thank you enough. When we get to 5, man, I'm going to be pumped. And I will hopefully have a nice giveaway to give away in the whole 9. So make sure that you're going to toss your 5-star review on there. Take a screenshot, because when that happens, that's when we'll be doing some stuff. All right, let's dive into it. We're going to start here with artisanal bully kennel. Toss your questions in the chat if you got them. Once again, shout out our members. Once again, shout out our super chatters. Our boy Tuasivi Numora, excuse me. Didn't get picked by us, but he did go as an undrafted free agent to the Panthers. I saw this one, and I was actually thinking of you immediately. I was like, oh, good pickup by Carolina. Maybe one day he will make his way over to the Steel City. I did actually ask a scout about this kid and was just like, hey, on tape, he's got like almost no size, and that's very concerning, but he's a freak athlete, and I think that's awesome to watch. And he said the same thing that I was thinking, like, this dude is a 10-year, 15-year special teamer. Like, this guy's going to get it done. He's going to make some noise, and maybe he makes a role for himself on a defense somewhere. He sees him as a hybrid, but he said, like, he did the same thing I did. He compared him to guys. I mean, he said like a smaller Greenlaw and maybe a little bit bigger of a Drew Tranquil. And I said Drew Tranquil was the guy I compared him to right off the bat. I think he's a stud. I think Tranquil is a stud. I think this dude's got opportunity to be a stud. I think he's going to be a special teamer, man. I think he's great. I'm pumped if he would end up in Pittsburgh, because I think that's the perfect Danny Smith, utilize him everywhere weapon the Steelers have been looking for. And I would be a big fan of the Steelers going out and getting a guy that's just good. You know, at the end of the day, this kid's just good. Miguel, if A-Rod really becomes a Steeler, I'm considering this a tanking season. Steelers won't win 6 games. I have bad news for you, Miguel. Aaron Rodgers is going to end up in Pittsburgh. The only way he's not going to end up in Pittsburgh is if he retires, which I get it. Like, I get it. That's a possibility. What he's actually dealing with off the field is very serious, and something that, like, everybody says, well, it's football. You got to make a decision. I don't know, man. Like, if I was dealing with something as serious as Aaron's dealing with, I don't think I'd be making that decision. I think I'd say, yeah, screw off when I'm ready to decide if I'm going to play football or not. When I'm ready to mentally accept that, I'll get there. But for right now, we're chilling. That's where I look at Aaron is unless there's a drastic, really unfortunate turn in this situation, I would imagine Aaron ends up in Pittsburgh. Nobody wants to hear it. Everybody gets real upset about it, but I think Aaron Rodgers still gives the Pittsburgh Steelers a chance to have their best season this year. You know, I think Justin Fields gave them their best shot, but I think Aaron Rodgers gives them their best shot of everybody in that room. You know, I don't think that Mason Rudolph has a better season than Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that Will Howard has a better season than Aaron Rodgers would. I truly think Aaron Rodgers would be the best case scenario for the Steelers at this point in time. You go back a month and a half ago, it's Justin Fields. But if you're going today, it's A-Rod. It stinks, but it's A-Rod. Maddie, hello, I'm alive. You had a lot of people worried about you today. I'm glad that you're back. Just spending time with the fam, seeing Marvel Studios, Thunderbolts today. Oh, that's awesome. But questions before the movie starts. Why not Will Howard? Also, can we do a fantasy league, please? First off, hope you're enjoying your time. Hope you enjoyed your birthday. Hope you enjoyed vacation. Whole 9, dude. Hope you're having a great time. Second, we'll address the fantasy league. I do think we should do a fantasy league this year. I think that should happen. I don't know how we're going to do it because there's so many people that would want to be involved in this. We might have to do a pick'ems instead. I think a pick'em league might be better than a fantasy football league with how many people we're going to have out, because there's no way we're going to get it concised into 12. I would say maybe we start a pick'em league. Either way, I will have something set up by the season. This is on the agenda. Don't even worry about it. Now, when it comes to Will Howard. I'm not saying why not Will Howard, but it's just sometimes you got to just look at it for what it is and say Will Howard is a 6th round rookie, and the Steelers understand that. And everybody wants a better answer than that, but there is no better answer than that. At the end of the day, that's the answer. The answer is the Pittsburgh Steelers said this is a 6th round pick. Connor Hayward, Mark Robinson, Ryan Watts, none of these guys came in and everybody said that guy's got to start day one. That's got to be the franchise tight end. Screw Pat Freiermuth. Get him out of there. Connor Hayward's that guy. Screw Minkah Fitzpatrick. Maybe a couple people said that. Put Ryan Watson. Kenny Pickett, dude. We got Chris Oladokun, dog. Get him out there. Nobody says these things. So at the end of the day, that's what it is. Just look at it for face value. Steelers made a 6th round pick on Will Howard. They're very excited about it, but they understand that they need to have something better than this. And that should not upset anybody. That should get people excited. Hey, the Steelers are shooting for the stars here. And I think that's what this is going to come down to is the Steelers looking at this saying, how good can we get at quarterback? We're done messing around. It's going to be Howard and somebody else a year from now. Maybe it is Howard. I'm not going to rule that out, but the Steelers are not going to be satisfied with Will Howard. That's what it is. The Steelers will not be satisfied with just Will Howard over the next 2 years. Macaroni salad. Noah, glad to see on the call-in show that you had your power back on and didn't have to go to Kaboom's house. I texted Kaboom yesterday. I look at it, a big fancy schmancy Kaboom over here. Has got power lines under the streets like he doesn't live in a city built in 1740 with brick roads. I mean, this is the city of Pittsburgh, man. I need my telephone wires barely holding on from poles that are 100% one more storm away from falling over. That's what I need. That's how I know I'm home. Blue collar city to its finest. Look at Kaboom. Shout out Kaboom. Shout out to you, Macaroni Salad. Shout out to everybody. For real, shout out to everybody. If Rodgers doesn't sign, Howard would get the keys by week 6. I agree with that. I don't think Mason Rudolph is built to win the Steelers a Super Bowl, even though a week ago everybody was saying the Steelers should give it to Mason Rudolph and let him be the guy. That's how constant we're moving on things. But I expect Aaron Rodgers to sign. I fully anticipate Aaron Rodgers being in Pittsburgh by, I'm not going to put a date on it. Last time I put a date on it, I was wrong. I was very close, but I was wrong. This time I'm not putting a date on it. Almost all-star. If Aaron is a no-show, I hope they don't throw Howard into the fire until at least game 10. Also, if Aaron is a no-show, it would be foolish to give draft capital for Cousins. 2026 quarterback is the goal. That is the Steelers' goal. I mean, there is a lot of talk about Kirk Cousins and where the Pittsburgh Steelers would go from here and so on and so forth. Nobody's looking at the easy name. You know what the easy name is? Carson Wentz. And it stinks that that's the easy name, but it's a name. And they would just say, yep, this isn't going to cost anything. Now, I'll say this. I have heard the Kirk Cousins price tag is very cheap. Very cheap. Comes with like $10 million that you got to dish out and maybe a 5th round pick. And I think that's not a bad deal. I think you could consider Kirk Cousins for that, but I agree with you. I would not be going to get Kirk Cousins. I wouldn't even be thinking about going to get Kirk Cousins. He wouldn't even be on my mind until at least week 3. I want 2 weeks to see how bad Mason Rudolph is and if Will Howard's any good. And if that's the case, cool. If not, I'll make a call to Atlanta, see if Kirk is available. But I'll call New Orleans and see how close Derek Carr is. I'll call Cleveland and see if they want to give up Kenny Pickett. I'll call New York and say, what about Jameis Winston, man, for a 6th round pick or a 7th round pick? Give us Russ back. Screw it. I'm just saying, I think there are other options. I do think that the Steelers would consider a veteran. They would definitely consider a veteran, but there are other options. I imagine Rodgers comes in and runs the entire year. Yeah, I mean, Rodgers is going to be the guy no matter what the entire time. That is what Aaron Rodgers would do. Brimstone, love the show. Appreciate you. Keep up the great work. Got to start bench cut coach edition. Mike Tomlin, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher. I think we've done this one. People don't like my answer, but I'm going to be honest with it. Okay. You're starting Chuck Noll. There's no questions asked there. Greatest Steelers coach of all time. I think I'm benching Tomlin. Tomlin's on the very close verge of being cut, but I think I'm benching Tomlin. Look, at Bill Cowher was awesome, man. He built some fantastic defenses. He did what he had to do, but the Steelers also stunk under Bill Cowher. Like stunk. Stinky stunk. He was not good. They were not good. Not him. He had phenomenal years. He had great runs. He built championship teams. Mike Tomlin's done the same thing. So I'm looking at Mike T and saying the only upper hand that you get is that you've never had a losing season. And I have to give you credit for that because like people yell at me and they say, no, that's not a rebuild. The Steelers have never rebuilt under Mike Tomlin. I know they've quietly rebuilt. And that's impressive to do. It's very impressive to do in the NFL. Almost nobody does that. So I would bench Mike T and I cut Bill Cowher. Nobody wants to hear it. If Mike T doesn't win a playoff game this year, he's getting cut. I'll put that stamp on it. Mike T's gone if they don't win a playoff game this year. That's my idea of this one. Almost all-star once again here. And if Aaron does show, should the Steelers find a game or two for Howard to start? I think we need to kick the tires a couple of times to see what we have. Probably not. Unless the Steelers win the AFC North and they've locked up home field advantage in the end of the season, there it is. It's awesome. You don't want to pull your starting quarterback. Like, no teams do that ever, and the Steelers aren't gonna. They're competing for the AFC North. They need to compete for the AFC North, and the AFC North is not easy to win at all. So I would say there's like almost a 0% chance that would happen. The Steelers wouldn't consider it. They'd look at practice. If he's the number 2 guy, you're going to get days in practice where you're the number 1. At least once a week. And you're going to get a lot of reps. And that's good. You're going to be able to see a lot of that stuff. You don't need the game action stuff. You don't. Game action's overrated in the NFL. I mean, it's very important, but everybody says like ruin now for later to test it out. And like, no, you can't. You're going to, for one, mess with everything around you. That's the biggest part about it, is the NFL is an ecosystem. The offense is an ecosystem. And if you pull Aaron Rodgers for 2 games and put Will Howard in there and he stinks, how long does it take you to get back to where you were? You know what I'm saying? Where is it? Does it kill Will Howard's confidence? That's big. And as a 6th round pick, give him a year. Let him learn from Aaron Rodgers. And a year from now, put him out there and see what you got. Because it's not going to, that's the thing. You could put him out there for 2 games. He could pass for 700 yards and 12 touchdowns in those 2 games. Win them both. You could think, I gotta bench Aaron Rodgers. They could go the entire season with Will Howard as their guy, and I'd still put money on the Steelers drafting a quarterback in the 1st round of the 2026 NFL draft. So you don't want to take the risk. I think the down is worse or is bigger than the good in that scenario. Oh gosh. Do you think they'd put Aaron and Mason on sled duty? Probably not. With our slot cornerback room being very young, is it possible they sign a veteran like Mike Hilton? I don't think so. I think they're in on Mike Hilton. They want to test out some rookies there. Brandon Eccles might be a name to watch there. I'd say before Mike Hilton, I think they'd probably sign Cam Sutton again. If I had to guess, that's what they would do. I'm not, this is a prediction, but if they were to go get a veteran, I think it would be Cam Sutton. ND Joe Noah, no question today. Just a shout out to Smooty Booty. He should be approaching halfway through Navy boot camp. Keep up the great work and get yourself a generator for those storms, right? So listen to this one. I got one. Stood at Lowe's for 3 hours yesterday, in line at Lowe's for 3 hours waiting for this generator. Got it, went home, set it up, had the house running great. It was awesome. I was so pumped. Felt bad for the neighbors' dogs, but got to do what you got to do. Was ready to go. Generator's on 2 hours, and I get the text finally at 8:30 at night saying, power's back on, you're good to go. I was like, are you kidding me? So I got it for the next time. And I'll tell you that. And I made some good friends sitting in that Lowe's line. That's the one big thing here is I made some good friends. I was very very appreciative of how cool everybody was in that Lowe's line. Shout out to Lowe's. Shout out to the city of Pittsburgh. Shout out to everybody working their butt off to chop down these trees that are all over the roads and get this place back to going, back to moving. Nate Moore. Oh, and shout out to Smooty Booty, man. Shout out to Smooty Booty. Like, I hope you're killing it, brother. We all got you back. Entire AST Nation, we got you. We're here. We're rooting for you. Shout out, man. I won't lie to you. I get asked about you constantly. Family members all the time who watch this show. Hey, I haven't seen Smooty Booty in a while. He's at Navy boot camp, kicking ass. So keep killing it, brother. Nate Moore, will the Pittsburgh Steelers give Will Howard a fair chance at quarterback one next year, or will they treat him like they did Mason? More than likely, he's going to get the Mason treatment, which stinks. That's not great. You're not looking for that, but more than likely, he's going to be viewed as the guy that's, the rookie's going to get pole position over Will Howard. That's where he's fighting from behind from. But he'd be doing that if he was a third-round pick. That's just the blatant facts of it, is if the Steelers went out and drafted Shedeur Sanders in the first round, then you'd be looking at it going, would he start? Would they still go get a rookie? Chances are yes in 2026. Would Shedeur have a fair playing field, maybe a leg up? I still think the answer would be no. The Steelers know next year's quarterback class is pretty loaded. They want one. They want their guy. They're feeling good. They're looking at it like last year. They're saying, man, if we had Drake May, if we had Bo Nix, if we had a Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy, where would we be? How much better, how much closer to a Super Bowl would we be? That's what they're looking at. Let's keep it trucking here. Cody Silva. Whichever teams end up with Kenny Pickett, Browns, they have to pay his fifth-year option. Pricey fourth string Ryan Clark thinks they're in a better position. I know the Browns declined Kenny Pickett. That's an important one here. Is the Browns declined Kenny Pickett's option, which is you should have done that. Okay, good call on the Cleveland Browns. They didn't know that they were supposed to decline it, which is classic Cleveland Browns. But the Cleveland Browns did decline it, so you're not going to pick that up. If you do trade for him, like, what are you giving up? A sixth rounder, seventh rounder max for Kenny Pickett? No chance. No chance. The Browns get anything for this guy. Shout out Kenny Pickett, man. I hope he's got one hell of a year. One hell of a year. Not in Cleveland. Not in Cleveland. But man, dude. Shout out Kenny. Herb, why is everyone downplaying Will Howard because he was picked in the sixth round? Did everyone forget about Brock Purdy already? I have watched tons of his film, and he's a leader. He's definitely a leader. I think that Will Howard's got a lot of tangibles that you're looking for in the NFL for sure. The way I look at it is, in Will Howard, like, if you're going to compare every sixth round quarterback and seventh round quarterback to Brock Purdy, then Quinn Ewers is about to take over for Tua, and every seventh round Chris Oladokun should take over for Patrick Mahomes. And, most 99.9% of those guys don't work out. That's why there's two examples, Tom Brady and Brock Purdy. That's it. Will Howard has a shot. He does. And this quarterback class fell differently than it was expected to, but nobody should be like overhyping Will Howard. It's cool to have an exciting young option, but if he goes out there in training camp and he isn't built for this, it shouldn't surprise. Like, nobody should be looking at it going like, I can't believe this guy's a flop. Like, most six rounders don't make the roster. So that's just how it is. Again, I think he's got the tangibles. I think the Steelers could work with them. They're not going to be satisfied with Will Howard being their only option in 2026. That's just a guarantee. It's not going to happen. Ernie, hey, no, I got a question. Do you think that we can at least get past the first round of the playoffs with the team and the QBs that we have now? Love the show. Keep on going. Appreciate you. Yeah, I do. I say constantly. I think that if Aaron Rodgers gets here now, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up, no. The answer is to that is no. I don't think that you're winning a playoff game with Mason Rudolph. It stinks. People don't want to hear that. I like Mason. I wish him nothing but the best. Not going to happen. You're not going to beat Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow with Mason Rudolph. It's just not going to happen. Aaron Rodgers, you got a shot. You got a fighting shot. As of right now, on paper, you have a fighting shot. That's a good way to put that. On paper, you have a fighting shot because there's a real chance you got no shot at all. But I would say that it's on the table if Aaron Rodgers does. The Steelers don't have many other holes, really no holes at all. And if the offensive line works out, the Steelers are in a place where you're feeling pretty good about what they can do as long as the quarterback position plays pretty well for right now. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back. We're going to answer more. Keep tossing them. Actually, we'll get to two more after this one, or many more after this one. We're going to take two more real quick. Thomas, will Watt's contract come after they potentially sign Rodgers, similar to last year with Cam? Did the Steelers bait the clowns into drafting Shedeur? Oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is such a great comment, man. Such a great comment. Thomas, that was a good one. That got me. I don't know if it's because I didn't read it ahead of time, but that one got me so well. So TJ Watt's contract is going to come after Aaron Rodgers. That is going to be the thing. But it has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a blow you away contract. It's not even going to be close. TJ is going to be a guy that gets paid $40 million a year, but they're not just going to hand them that. That's not what the Steelers do. They've never done that. No matter who you are, nobody ever gets a deal this early. I wouldn't be surprised if it's before training camp. I wouldn't be surprised if it's during training camp. I think right now where we stand, it's still, far enough away. They're far enough apart where it's not going to happen tomorrow. They're going to close in quick. That's my thoughts on this. That's my outlook on TJ Watt is they're going to close in on that deal very quickly. They're going to say, okay, you know what? Screw it. This is getting too far. We have the cap space. Here's $41 million. There it is. Have a go at it. TJ's worth $41 million a year. The Steelers could afford $41 million a year. Go give it to them. They know that. TJ knows that. It's going to happen. Now, did the Steelers bait the Cleveland Browns into drafting Shedeur? I mean, look, I have no idea if this is true, but I'm definitely guessing that the Haslams, the owners of the Cleveland Browns, walked in and said, get him now. Put him on the board. Send the pick in. Go get Shedeur Sanders. Stop messing around. That's what I would imagine that happened. And let me tell you, an owner picking a quarterback is the worst move a franchise can make. The worst move a franchise can make. So the Browns, man, they be the Browns. They be the Browns. Trapping, what it boils down to is the coaching staff. We haven't developed quarterbacks. That's very true. Mike Tomlin's never developed a quarterback. He's never been able to. Tom Arth, I have a lot of faith in. I mean, I really do. I like Tom Arth. I think that he's got a good background. I've heard really good things about the way that he works with quarterbacks and develops quarterbacks. And Justin Fields even had a lot of really good things to say about him last year. And Justin Fields took steps forward. So I'm excited about Tom Arth. I don't like Mike Tomlin's not developing a quarterback. Arthur Smith probably isn't developing a quarterback, but Tom Arth, I think, could. And I'm interested in that. But again, like this is it. This is it. In the eyes of the Steelers right now, in the eyes of the fan base right now, in the eyes of everything, 3 strikes and you're out. The Pittsburgh Steelers whiffed on Kenny Pickett. They whiffed on Kenny Pickett. They whiffed so hard on benching Justin Fields for Russell Wilson. At least the excuse in Kenny's draft was Malik Willis was the second best bet. In this one, there was clear as day. Everybody knew it should have been Justin, should have remained Justin, should have went back to Justin. They didn't do it. This is strike 3. The next time you get it, it's not Will Howard. Let's start there. Developing Will Howard does not count as strike 3. But whoever you get next year, if you do not make it work, I don't even know if the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that holds on to a coach after whiffing on a quarterback 3 times. I think that's where it starts to begin yeah, buddy, you're not built for this anymore. You can't get this done. You can't develop a quarterback, which is key to winning a Super Bowl. Just saying. This is it. 3 strikes. I truly, truly believe that you are out with 3 strikes. All right, now I'm going to take a short break and then come back and continue answering your questions. Keep tossing them in the chat. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes black and gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
Shout out to all you guys. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Continuing to go through these questions to make sure I'm not missing anything. We got a bunch of them. Big G, Sean Gurley. I think the big question is Will Howard as good as Ryan Tannehill? If he is, he can play in Arthur Smith's system. I believe Howard is better than Ryan Tannehill. That is a big if. I have no idea. I think Will Howard has had spurts that look a lot like Ryan Tannehill, but Ryan Tannehill was a way better college coach or quarterback than Will Howard. Ryan Tannehill was a first-round pick in a pretty decent draft class. I mean, that's a question we do not have an answer for. We just don't. And if you ask me, is Ryan Tannehill better than Will Howard at their peak? I would pick Ryan Tannehill every time. But I have yet to see Will Howard. Like, here's the thing with me is I like Will Howard, big Will Howard guy, big supporter of what he can do. Think he's got all the tangibles. I'm excited to see what he could do on the field. You will not catch me saying Will Howard is this big glamorous quarterback that is going to lead the Pittsburgh Steelers to a Super Bowl. I truly do not see that in him. And I hope one day I do. And I'm very open to him proving that wrong and raising that bar. I'm very open to it. But right now, where we stand, I didn't come into the draft thinking Will Howard was a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I do not stand here today thinking that's the case. I think that Will Howard right now could turn into Mason Rudolph for 10 years, and that would be so awesome. It's a good backup quarterback is so key to an NFL franchise, and they might have got one. And that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. I think Ryan Tannehill is a good backup, has been a good backup for a long time. Maybe, just maybe, Will Howard could reach Ryan Tannehill. As of today, I don't know if that's the case. Shout out to J-Man. Appreciate you on this one, and then appreciate you on this one. 6'4", 236 pounds, 73% completion through 35 touchdowns and 10 picks. Just won the Natty. Why not take a shot with the kid as quarterback one? I mean, that's because he's a sixth-round pick. Like, at the end of the day, I hate to be that guy, but he's a sixth-round pick. And if you ask Mike Tomlin in 2 weeks if Will Howard is going to be a starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's going to look at you and he's going to say, you never know what happens, but the kid's a sixth-round pick. And that's just what it is. Kid's a sixth-round pick. He also did not play the Ohio State offense was not unbelievable because of Will Howard. At no point was it unbelievable because of Will Howard. And that you have to take into consideration too. I'm not a Will Howard hater. I think he's good. I think he's got all the tangibles that you're looking for. I really do. But I think he looked very average in an easy offense. An offense that, I mean, hell, man, I probably could have thrown a touchdown. Probably just one, but, at least one. Would have thrown 40 picks, but, whatever. I'm just saying, I don't think that where we sit today, Will Howard has done anything in college to make me say this dude is the best quarterback ever. I will look at him and say he's got all the tangibles and you could turn that into something. And I'm very open-minded to what you could turn that into. And I hope they turn it into something good. I do. No, do you think Will Howard's support could lead to an epic disappointment like Kenny Pickett, or do you think he's closer to being good than Kenny was? No. It's going to lead to some big disappointment and if everybody's latched on to Will Howard being the next franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that coming out of college, Will Howard has a better arm than Kenny, is more mobile than Kenny. I think he processes the field just about as well as Kenny Pickett did. And that's not great. I also think Kenny was pull some crap out of your butt and make it happen type of guy. And in college, that looked awesome. But again, I think Kenny Pickett was a good college quarterback that took a long time to become a good college quarterback. Again, like Will Howard's a 6th round pick. Be excited about it. Be very excited about what Will Howard can become without saying without viewing him as a 6th round pick who should have been a first. If he should have been a first, 31 other teams would have taken him in the first. He's a 6th round pick who went 6th round, who the Steelers view as a 6th rounder. And he might turn out to be incredible, but do not latch yourself on to this dude being a franchise quarterback because the Steelers do not view him that way, and they're not going to. That's important. All right, let's keep it trucking here. Ben Hart Dobbs. He does. Stephen Cornfield, who do you think has a bigger fighting chance? Our new first rounder next year or Howard mentored by Rodgers for a season? It depends on who they get, but the first rounder next year. Like next year's bad quarterback in the first round, in my eyes, is Drew Aller. I don't think Drew Aller is that good of a quarterback. I think he's got some issues. I think he kind of folds in big games a lot of times. That's how I view Drew Aller. I still think Drew Aller is a better quarterback overall by like 2 degrees at least than Will Howard. So next year's, like, Will Howard could be great, could turn into great things. But again, like, the Steelers aren't going to look at him as anything more than a 6th round pick who gets mentored by Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to let him compete. But the guy who comes in here as a first rounder is going to get pole position, and I think he's going to make the most out of it. Like, if Bo Nix was here, the last of the group, if Bo Nix was the last first rounder to go in last year's draft, and he came in here next year, and Will Howard was there to compete with them, Bo Nix would win the job by a landslide. And that's how you got to look at it. Is even if the Steelers get the worst first round pick in a good class, he's still got a leg up on Will Howard. Shower curtain, you're not guessing, Noah. You are too confident what you're saying about Rodgers. You know for a fact that there is some sort of deal done, don't you? I wanted to highlight this one because I'm not going to respond to it. I'm just going to say that I expect Aaron Rodgers to be in Pittsburgh at some point. That is all I'm going to say. How confident am I that Aaron Rodgers shows up? Confident enough. Confident enough to think that he is going to be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. I have a roster prediction coming out potentially tomorrow morning. If I could get it done tonight, potentially tomorrow morning. And the starting quarterback on that roster will be Aaron Rodgers. And it's going to remain Aaron Rodgers. Now, something could change. You know what I mean? We're talking some serious off-the-field stuff. This is not minor. This is not, like, exaggerated in any way. This is serious. This is very significant. And, like, thoughts and prayers go out to Aaron, man. I've been thinking about him. I will continue to pray for him. Like, that's what I'm doing here. And you never know what's going to happen in these scenarios, and you never know if something's going to change or if bad news is going to come or whatever, and it's going to pull you away, and that could be the case. But if everything goes swimmingly and things work out in Aaron's favor, which I'm hoping they do, then yeah, I expect Aaron Rodgers to be in Pittsburgh. Thomas, overreaction. Caleb Johnson will win Offensive Rookie of the Year and be the running back one by week 5. Also, what would a GP extension look like? Do you think it would be around DK? I do think it'd be around DK, but shaped much differently. Like, George would be less than DK. He would not average $30 million a year. I'd imagine he averaged $27 million a year, $25 million a year. He would have a lot of it backloaded to where year one is like the most 25, probably more like 23, 22. Year 2's 25, year 3's 27. I don't know if he signs a 4, but like maybe year 4 is 30, 31, 32, something like that. That's how I'd look at a DK extension or a George Pickens extension. I'm not going to rule it out. I think it's a possibility for sure. When it comes to Caleb Johnson, I wouldn't put it past him. I would not, dude. I think he's so stinking good. Like, so stinking good. I love Caleb Johnson. I bet like he's my favorite pick in this draft class. By a mile, he's my favorite pick in the draft class. The kid has eyes that I have seen very few of in the last few running back classes. Like, there's been some really good running backs that have come into the NFL. Caleb Johnson has some of the best eyes I've ever seen. Shout out to Caleb Johnson, man. I agree with you. I like this bold prediction or this overreaction. It's not an overreaction. It's not even close. It's not even close. Pittsburgh Hornets Noah Stradamus. Out of all the former and current Steelers quarterbacks, excluding Rodgers, which two quarterbacks have most wins this year or would have the most wins this year? Good question. Good question. I mean, Ben would be the easy one. It's really more about two, which you'd want to go Terry. Terry would be the guy. I don't want to be boring, though, so we'll give you a third, because it's Ben, then it's Terry. I think Cordell Stewart would have one hell of a year here. I do. I think you could be, maybe Justin Fields could be in that conversation, but I think you put Flash out there. I think he'd be so damn good. I do. I think in Arthur Smith's offense, he'd have him running all over the place. I think he'd be able to utilize him in different ways. He's got a strong arm. Cordell Stewart wasn't the greatest, but he was way ahead of his time, and that was the problem. And I would love it. Michael Vick would. You could go through the random ones. Mike Vick would be a stud, but I think my number 3. I think it'd be Flash. I think it'd be Cordell Stewart. I really do. Great question. To be decided enigma. What a phenomenal name. Unlimited Moonballs, my man. To be decided enigma. Unbelievable. Noah, I got tired of waiting to make the name change. Sorry for the mediocre creativity. No, it's incredible. I went with a Rodgers reference since you seem mighty sure that Rodgers will be a Steeler. What do you know? Look at, shout out that name, man. Shout out that name. It is a great name. It is a great name. That's all I'm going to say, guys. Look at, I'm confident that I'm confident in what I hear. I'm confident in the people I speak to. Everybody says I'm real confident in my sources, and I always kind of feel like you look a little silly when you do that. I'm not going to be that guy. What I am going to be is the guy that says I've for a long time I've heard the same stuff, and we're getting to a place where I'm hearing more. I'm knowing different things. I'm kind of knowing more detail about the whole situation, and yeah, let's say this. When it's all said and done, okay, and Rodgers is or is not in Pittsburgh, I have plans to make sure that I bring the story to you guys. What happened, not the detail. I'm not giving you Rodgers' personal life. I don't even know it, to be honest with you. I won't even ask. I understand the layout of the situation and how serious it is, but I don't want details. Those aren't my details to have. It's his life. It's his personal issues. All I know is that I got to send good vibes his way. But I want to bring as much of this as possible and how everything transpired and how we got here to you guys. And I plan on doing that from both sides, the Rodgers and the Steelers. And I'm excited for it. So just gathering everything as we go. And that's all I'll say on that one. That's all I'll say. Miguel, what am I missing? Seriously, it's like people didn't watch Rodgers stink it up for the last 3 years. All while being a huge distraction to his teams. He's not a 10-win quarterback. He's a 5-win quarterback at most. Potentially. Definitely potentially. And I think if Rodgers comes in here and wins 5 games, yikes. But if Rodgers comes in here and wins 5 games, the Pittsburgh Steelers are picking 3rd. That ain't bad. It'd be an awful year. I don't agree with it. I think Aaron Rodgers can win 10 games. I think he wins you more games than Mason Rudolph. I think he wins you more games than Will Howard. But I do acknowledge that there's a chance he stinks. And if he does, well, maybe, just maybe, Steelers get top 10 pick, and that would be awesome. Cody Silva, Noah, whichever team gets picking right now, the Browns are going to have to pay his 5th year. Oh, excuse me. And you want the pick'ems. Who doesn't want the pick'ems, man? Pick'ems are awesome. Pick'ems are the best. Start bench cut. I think we've done this one before. We'll do it again. Bettis, Franco, Bell. I've always had a weird opinion. I'm super high on Le'Veon Bell, but it's Franco, Bettis, Bell. That's what it is. That's what it's always been. That's what it'll remain. All right. Shifting through as we continue. Oh. No, my bold prediction is that Rodgers doesn't sign. Howard wins over the team and coaches and gets his shot, even though Tomlin doesn't start rookies easily. That's a bold prediction, my friend. Look at. I'll say this. What's on your side is the Mason Rudolph effect and the Steelers' negative effect on Mason Rudolph. And if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign, which that's like the laughing part of it, is I'm so confident that that's probably going to happen. What a sentence that was. I'm so confident it's probably going to happen. Talk about backing myself into a corner. Talking about trying to escape myself there. I do think Howard would start over Mason Rudolph by at least week 5 if the Steelers didn't have Aaron Rodgers this season. I'll give you that one. Eddie the First. Shout out Noah from Denver, Colorado, making my way to Connecticut. Where's your favorite place in the Northeast? Scranton, Pennsylvania. It's Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it's actually Jessup, Pennsylvania. Best little town of all time. But my favorite places in the Northeast, I'm a big Philly guy. Everybody hates it, but I'm a big Philly guy. I've never been to Maine, but that has been on my to-do list my entire life. Like Boston, love Boston. Connecticut, I've never been to. Oh, and I'm a big New York, but you got to go to the right place in New York City. Like, go to Manhattan, go to Little Italy. Don't go to Times Square. Times Square stinks. And then if you're going to New York, bro, go to the Adirondacks. They're awesome. Stephen Cornfield, Noah, glad to see you back. Me too. I was bored yesterday without the show. If it makes everybody feel better, I was standing in a Lowe's line, so I was also dreading my life a little bit without you guys. I missed you terribly. Question, who has the best chance to start next year? The first rounder we get? Oh, I apologize. We already did this one. I'm so sorry. We're moving. Ernie Jones, one more question. Do you think that we will win the division this year? Because last year we came close, but those 5-game losses in a row, I do not think that the Steelers win the AFC North this year, but I do think that their chances of doing so are significantly higher than they were a year ago. I was not a Russ guy. Was not. I think the Steelers' overall roster this year is much better than last year. They have very few holes. I would say I'm still putting my money on Baltimore, but I do like a lot the Steelers roster this year compared to last. Marlon, what do you think Rodgers' contract looks like? 1 year. I have no idea what the financials look like, but it's not going to be overwhelming. It is. If I had to guess, I know it's going to be a 1-year deal. That one's for sure. Money-wise, I would guess $20 million. That's what I'd be looking at. 1 year, $20 million. It kind of like a Russ deal. It kind of shape out like a Russ deal. That's how I'd look at it. American Steel, Noah, when will we get an AST Terrible? Wow, what a great idea. Hoping soon, an AST Terrible towel for everybody listening on audio. Hoping soon. Also, we are still waiting on a new guy in the corner. Who are your 3 finalists? Don't have finalists as of right now. As we work through this month, got some things in the works still, but to be honest with you, really much so enjoying the ride and at the same time learning things. That's very important to me right now. Is I'm trying to make sure that at the end of this, it's the best situation possible for you guys. And what I'm learning in this is I miss a lot of time speaking directly to you guys by having people on, and I don't know if I want that to be necessarily the case. I love a podcast theme. I love the podcast. I think there's different ways and adventurous things that we can do to make sure that I'm actually spending more time answering your questions while at the same time spending the same amount of time on a podcast or maybe more time, but bringing you guys 30 minutes of podcast every day, while also making sure that I'm answering even more questions to make sure that we're on here, working that out. But very interested in that stuff right now. And I'm hoping that when it's all said and done, I'm confident. I'm as confident in this as I am in Aaron Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers at some point, that when it's all said and done, it's going to work out. And I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be cool. Dusty, do you play video games? I'm a big video game guy. Big video game guy. For anybody who knows me, big video game guy. Be honest, do you think we should have grabbed Shedeur Sanders? No. I really don't. I look at Shedeur Sanders as a backup. The Steelers wanted a guy next year. They still want a guy next year. If Shedeur was going to be your guy, he had to have worked out. Because if he didn't work out, you're in way deeper than you would be with a Will Howard or anybody else. So, no. My thing is he comes with too many distractions. The Tim Tebow effect is a real thing and is why Tim Tebow didn't work out in the NFL. Because everybody wants to talk about Tim Tebow as your backup quarterback. Everybody wants to talk about Shedeur Sanders as your backup quarterback. His dad's got a megaphone in front of him every single week to talk about Shedeur Sanders. It would not work out. But I think he's good. I think he's better than the 5th round. I understood why he fell, though. I do. At the same time, do you think that we go balls to the wall next year to grab Archie Manning? I don't think it's going to be that guy. It's going to be Archie. I don't think they're going to have their guy in mind. I think their guy is going to be 2, 3, maybe 4th best quarterback in the draft. That's going to be where they're headed, unless they have a really bad season. If the Steelers pick 21st again, then next year they're going to look at it and say, how do we get into the top 7? How do we get anywhere from 2 to 7 in that range so that we could get QB2, QB3, worst case QB4 in this draft? That's how they're going to look at it. I don't think they're getting up to 1. I would imagine Archie Manning, if I had to make a bad, brutal, bold prediction, Archie Manning ends up in Cleveland. That's my guess. Not a great place to be, but look at, I look at it right now and say Drew Aller, Newsomer, the dude out of South Carolina, which I'm not Kubiak, but like whatever his name is, all on the radar and all should be right there. And I would imagine they're pretty high on the Steelers list. I do have like names and I've had early conversations of who impressed, but nothing like stood out enough to give names out, if that makes some sense. Like it wasn't detailed enough. It wasn't a conversation that led me to believe anybody's really high on their radar, just that they really like the draft class next year. Pittsburgh Hornets, if you got to pick any 3 players to bench on any other team this year, who are you benching? Myles Garrett, Lamar Jackson, and probably, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, easy. Those would be my 3. I think the Steelers could beat Josh Allen. I do. I do. Oh, gosh. Start bench cut. Mike Sullivan, Mike Tomlin, Jim Leyland. Oh, gosh. Shout out Mike Sullivan, man. He's about to end up in New York. I think Mike Sullivan's a hell of a coach. You know, hockey's wild to me because I wasn't a hockey guy until I came out to Pittsburgh. I mean, this is 8 years ago now, so we're there. But I wasn't a hockey guy until I came out to Pittsburgh. I quickly realized that hockey's wild and that they will fire coaches and that coach will just go somewhere else and be fantastic. And I was like, why is it? I thought they stink. And they're like, nah, they just stink here. Okay, cool. I've seen it happen so many times. Mike Sullivan, Mike T, and Jim Leyland. That's it right there. Yikes. Carl Spackler. Hey, Noah, you can choose one. Which and why? Replace Deshaun Elliott with rookie Polamalu. Replace Roman Wilson with rookie Hines Ward. Replace Mason McCormick with a rookie Alan Faneca. I would replace in this roster. I would replace Mason McCormick with rookie Alan Faneca because Alan Faneca is a stud, absolute stud. And I love Hines Ward. He would be my second pick. I love Troy Polamalu, obviously. But I think the Steelers defense at a good place. You guys all know that I have like some deep appreciation for Deshaun Elliott and who he is as a player. Nothing's better than the trenches. Nothing wins a Super Bowl quite like the trenches. Nothing wins you games in a hard-nosed team in a hard-nosed division quite like the trenches. I'd go Alan Faneca. I think that dude in this roster would make their offense so much more dangerous. I think Roman Wilson would be my second, but George Pickens is there, and DK Metcalf's there, and Calvin Austin's there, and I feel okay about that. Troy Polamalu would be awesome, but I just couldn't do that to Deshaun. Couldn't do that one to Deshaun. I'm going McCormick, replacing him with Faneca. Grayson the Ginger. Hey, Noah, I started a new job at UPS. Shout out. And I hope you and Stephen Cornfield get to link up. And haven't been on as much. Just want to say I missed you. And the chat, hey, we missed you as well. But, go kick some butt. That's awesome. Shout out. Congratulations, my dude. Congratulations. Nate Moore, how are you going to answer that question and not tell us any of the games you play? I apologize. I'm a big Madden guy. I'm a bit like I play all the sports games. A big Madden guy, big Chell guy, big 2K guy. I play the show every now and then, but I don't get real into the show anymore. And then, so my younger brother is a streamer. Like, that's what he does. He's got a Twitch, and he's out there. His name's Little Strack on Twitch. Go hit him up. Get him that subscription. And every once in a while, he'll just, like, text me, and he'll be like, yo, you want to play tonight? I'm like, yeah, sounds good. And he'll be like, all right, cool, download this game. And I'll just download it, and we'll just play it. And that's pretty much what we do. To be honest with you, like, I would say, I don't know, $100 a month at least. Like, this kid tells me to go buy video games with. Once in a while I listen. Once in a while I go, dog, I'm not buying this video game. So shout out. But yeah, no, that's I'm a big sports game guy. Every once in a while I'll toss on Call of Duty because Modern Warfare is awesome. And then whatever my little brother's telling me to play, which sometimes is just like the wildest thing imaginable. We played it felt like Dungeons and Dragons, I think, maybe. I have no idea what it was, but we played it for like 4 hours, and I still have no idea how to play any of these games. So, shout out. That's what we do. All right, we'll finish it off with this one. Pittsburgh Hornets, what would the record need to be before the Steelers started tanking? Oh, gosh. All right. I would go. First off, they would never start tanking. Let's start there. They would never start tanking. I would go 3-10 is when you start to think this season's done. It's over. Because at that point, you can only win 7 games. You're not going to do anything. You've maybe the slim hope of pulling off an 8-9 record and, there it is. Maybe you do it. Awesome. Is still there. Once you get to 10, it's done. You're going, all right, season's over. Can it? At that point, I'm putting in Will Howard. Will Howard's already in at that point. But at that point, I'm riding it out with Will Howard. I'm not thinking about a quarterback change. I'm letting the rookie do what the rookie can do and go from there. But I would say 3-10. I'd feel awful about it. Man, everybody would be miserable. I would be miserable. That would be the case. All right. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything here. No, I think we're pretty chilling. All right. With that said, guys, I'm going to head out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check me out anywhere you get your audio podcast. Please go hit those Apple downloads and give me a 5-star review. That would be so awesome. And at the end of the year, if we are top 10, I cannot thank you guys enough. With that said, find all my work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. And it's not storming. I think the power is coming back on across the city, so we're going to hope for the best here. But keep it trucking. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg.